In this lesson, we continue learning Power BI data modeling by focusing on dimension tables and how they work with fact tables. You'll learn the purpose of dimension tables, how they break down aggregated metrics, and the 4W framework: who, what, when, and where, and how Star Schema design connects fact tables and dimension tables in Power BI. Let's dive in.
Let's do a dimension table. Okay, dimension table, dim dimension, also called lookup, also called reference, also called master data. Normally, they are of this shape, which is short and fat. All I'm saying is it has few rows and more columns right? And then a lot of the columns are text columns. Another way of saying this is qualitative columns. Another way of saying this would be it has categorical columns. It has a lot of segmentation. It has hierarchy, right? A lot of these you will find in your dimension tables. Now tell me your purpose, right? Your purpose of your fact table was to aggregate the information. Like that was your reporting purpose. What is the reporting purpose of your dimension table? When you put a field from a dimension table into a report, what does it actually do?
Categorize.
Categorize. There are multiple words that you can use, but the terminology that I really like, it's a very simple one. It just breaks down the aggregation, correct? I'll give you an example. You have your total revenue coming from your fact table, and you want to break it down by client. Your name of the client comes from your dimension table. You want to break down your total revenue by product name. That product name comes from the dimension table. You want to break down your total revenue month on month. That month on month comes from your calendar dimension table. You want to break down your total revenue by the location or the warehouse names, maybe the salesperson who is doing the sales, that salesperson information comes from the dimension table. That breakdown, some people call it slice and dice, that grouping, your ability to filter and slice, that comes from the dimension table. And see, a lot of things that I said, client name, product name, salesperson name, month on month, a lot of those are like text fields, right? You can see the purpose, right? This purpose kind of also helps you a lot. Okay, let's go to the next line. What kind of information does it record? Now, every business has different ways how they would want to slice and dice and break down the information. But there is a framework that I really like, and it will also allow you to think, which is because your dimension table allows you to go one level deeper, you can also think of it as four W's. W's: who, what, when, and where, right? It allows you to ask a deeper question from the aggregation. So, who is your client or your suppliers or your employees, right? When you start to break it down, it gives you certain ideas how you might want to break down your data. So let's consider a few things, okay? Who is your client master data? What else can it be? Supplier master data or employee master data, right? We have someone from the workforce analyst. Let's assume what are some of the columns that you will have in an employee master data, right? Let's write it down here. You will have an employee ID. So who was the workforce analyst? I think James, it was you, right?
Yeah, it was me. Yeah.
Okay. Let's create few columns and we will see that how this information has some of the characteristics that we are going, right? Name, um, then you will have job title or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Reporting manager. Let's just write manager. Um, then you might have date of joining, right?
Yep. Start date. Something. Yep.
Start date or date of joining, right? Let's put start date. You might have date of birth, right? Gender. Um,
Email.
yeah, of course. Email. Address, right? Phone number. Now, then you will also have you will also have some confidential information which will not be accessible accessible by other people. Even things like telephone number might not be accessible, like personal telephone number or address, but that is stored somewhere in the Active Directory. Yeah. And then you might also have some kind of a category, right? Is it a full-time or a part-time or a contractor, right? You might have some categorization. That's your dimension table. If you think about it, your client master data will also have very similar information. You might have, bank account details to transfer the salary. Your client will also have ID, your client name, their email, their bank account, their address, and all that. Your supplier will also have similar information. So that's your who, the important stakeholders, how you would like to break down and slice and dice your data. What about what? What is this what? This is your products and services, correct? Your product ID, your product name, product description, product quantity on hold, product list price, model, color, so on. So you can keep going, especially where there is a physical product. It is easier to maintain. Where people are doing services, it's much harder because pricing is harder. When this is your standard calendar table that we have discussed, every proper data model should have a proper calendar table. And the columns that you will include inside the calendar table will come from the business requirement that you have and what do you want to see. How do you want to slice and dice the data? If you want public holidays, you will include a public holiday column inside the calendar table, right? And where, right? That's your location, which is your address. And from address, you can have your postcode, suburb, city, country, continent. And if you also notice, especially about calendar table and location table, they are very, very hierarchical in nature. If I know the address, if I know the lowest level of hierarchy, which is address, I can extract all the above levels of hierarchy from that level. If I know the address, I can extract the postcode, I can extract the suburb, I can extract the city, the country, and the continent. Correct? And similarly with the calendar table, if I have the lowest level of hierarchy, which is date, and I think someone is also working with date and time, if that's the case, if I know that, I can almost extract everything from it. Your year, your quarter, your financial year, financial quarter, week, so on and so forth. Right? It's very hierarchical. Is it making sense? Yeah. Okay. Now my question is, your fact table is a constantly growing table. Is your dimension table constantly growing or not? Does it grow or not?
Very slowly,
Yeah,
if at all.
not not constantly, but one major difference is it's a it's a constantly, not let's say constantly, let's say it's a table that it's a changing table. It shows current snapshot. It can change. Your fact table cannot change. That this distinguishes a dimension table from a fact table. I'll give you an example. In the employee table, you have address of an employee. Your address of an employee can change. Salary of an employee can change. Job title of an employee can change. A lot of these fields can change. Your dimension table will show you the current snapshot of your employees. A new employee can come in, of course. An old employee can leave, of course. But it also has to show the current snapshot. Your fact table does not change. It's almost like a ledger. When a transaction is recorded in time, unless someone has made a mistake, that does not change. It grows, but you don't go back in time and you don't change it. That is a major difference between a fact table and the dimension table, right? Your list price of the product can change. If you're selling it for $1 today and next year you sell it for $2, it will change. Then, of course, it has primary key, right? Which in most cases, not all the time, is also a unique identifier, which is no duplicates. Something like an employee ID, right? That's your primary key. Two employees cannot have the same employee ID. Two products will not have the same product ID. Two suppliers will not have the same supplier ID. And this primary key connects with your foreign key to establish a data model. One, too many. Okay, here you go. Now, once you understand these two categories of the data set that we have, then it's also important for you to know a star schema. Power BI loves star schema. What is a star schema? It is your fact table surrounded by your dimension tables. Your fact table in blue surrounded by your dimension table. Let's take an example. Your sales transaction is surrounded by your product connected via product ID, your client connected via your client ID, your calendar connected by the date, and let's say, what else? Let's say salesperson, right? Connected via your salesperson ID. So now you have your total sales, and you can just break it down by product or even color of a product or category of a product, which comes from the product table. That's your star schema. There are two rules of star schema, which Power BI will not let you break. There are two rules of star schema that Power BI will not let you break. Only one active relationship between two data sets, right? Only one active relationship. And the important word here is active. Remember the dotted line that we had yesterday between two tables? That is an inactive relationship. So you can only have one active, but you can create as many inactive relationships as you want, right? And it happens all the time. And the other one is no circular referencing. Whenever you're working on the data model, if you already have experience working in the data model, you will get a message. It will say, you cannot create a relationship between these two data sets. Otherwise, it will cause ambiguity between this data set and that data set. When your data model becomes complex, it does not become apparently obvious that how already a relationship exists. What happens is something like this. You will have a data set, and this data set is connected here, and it is connected like here, and this is connected like here, and it almost becomes like a mesh. It does not become apparently obvious that when I'm connecting these two data sets, they are already connected by some other line of connection. So it will not let you do it. You're going to get a message, and when you will look at it closely, you will realize that these two data sets that I'm trying to connect, right, is already connected by some other way, right? If I connect like this starts to create, like this data can talk here, this can talk here, and then can talk back. So it will not allow you to create some kind of a circular referencing. Okay, that's your star schema. And now see this. The real benefit actually comes from the fact that when you start working on a star schema, it lets you combine multiple transaction tables together. It lets you combine multiple fact tables together. Let's say now you have an inventory table, right? Inventory table will also have the same dimensions. Your inventory table will have a product ID, right? Now this inventory table can actually connect to the same product table. This inventory table might also have the date of the transaction. So it can also get connected to the same calendar table. People who are working in purchasing, you might have now a PO table. PO table will also have the date of the purchase, right? Which can get connected to the same calendar table. PO table will also have the product code if you are purchasing the product, right? It can get connected to the same. And then your PO table might also have a supplier. So you can have a supplier table that gets connected. And you start to see how, when you lay the right foundation with the dimension table, you can reuse the same dimension across multiple facts, and you can keep growing and scaling the data model. So there are data modelers who are specifically tuned to the data model, and they're scaling and growing the data model effectively. And now I can start to see the connections. I can start to see the connection of inventory with sales. I can start to see connection of sales with PO, which is very difficult to understand. I can start to go cross department and see the effect of one department on another, which is really where the analysis starts to shine. And you see how it becomes too complex. If when your data model starts to become bigger, it becomes difficult to really know what is going on and what table is connecting. So once you lay the right foundation and you have some kind of a principles in place, you can avoid it. Okay.